Um, so for me, I am really very curious how the contestants felt when they found out about the brackets. Like, that's what I'm very curious about. Like, I don't think they knew going into it that like they would be in brackets. And so I'm very curious, just like, obviously the recording that we saw on TV, they already knew by the time that happened.
Yeah.
But
like, I
don't know.
I feel like, from what I understand, the way that, and this is just me listening to a lot of Naisha Lopez, shout out to Roscoe's. It seems like the girls get a bit more information heading into it, like in terms of budget, stipend, format, so that they can kind of make a more informed decision. Like, look, we will give you 3 full episodes, no eliminations. You'll get X amount of screen time because you'll only be on screen with 5 other people at a time, kind of thing. As opposed to like how they were doing, season 1 with this baby. We're just throwing you to the wolves. It's the gauntlet. So
season 1.
So I feel like my guess would be that they knew what the tea was going to be and they agreed to it.
Yeah. Well, and that's really interesting if you think that that's the tea, because I don't disagree. Then I'm more curious about the tea about which contestants actually went through versus which contestants didn't go through. Because now I'm very curious about that, because obviously, anybody who's been paying attention knows that one of these brackets has a very recent competitor from season 17. And supposedly the tea is that contestant, Lydia Collins, replaced someone who was invited for All Stars 10 and dropped out at the last minute. You know how the internet is, you know how Reddit is. People share stories, they may or may not be true. But the tea is, again, allegedly, I'm not saying this occurred because I'm just somebody sitting in a chair in an office, that Maddie Morphosis was the one that was invited initially, to the point where the queens had been given her dossier to prepare for the reading challenge on the first episode. Apparently she checked in to the hotel where the cast was, but didn't stay. I guess it was something personal. I think she was, or they're getting married or engaged or something. I don't know. But if they knew, it just seems weird. Like a person would drop out of the show that close, right?
I think I saw something that it wasn't even that she had to. I saw a very cryptic message from Miss Madeline that was along the lines of, there's a difference between dropping out and being asked to leave, essentially.
So they asked Maddie to leave?
So
I wonder what she did.
That is what so there's allegedly she quit, but
allegedly. Are we saying this was like a Willem situation where it's like, you done something you shouldn't have done that?
Someone said, some people said that it was because she was, or Maddie was getting married, but
yeah, see, that's the tea I heard.
Hold on, because I don't want to be spreading fables, but I definitely
spreading fables, telling lies.
Not lies. So I'm like, I'm an artist, but I'm not imaginative enough to make that up.
Concoct a whole alleged story. I really like these glass straws. They're nice.
All right. I guess the girls are saying that Miss Naisha was just being messy.
Well, Naisha can be messy. Ain't no doubt about that. That's one of my favorite things about her, though.
I don't know. Why do we can't trust Reddit anyway?
No, anyway. We can't trust Reddit. But it makes for good conversation.
It does for sure. I feel like you know, it's well-known tea at this point. What more recent tea that I haven't heard as many folks talking about is what happened with Miss Arietti and Miss Irene.
Ooh, I've been reading about that because when you say something like, I don't trust somebody who steal my money, who steal my man, and who says something behind my back, maybe I can't remember what it was, but the two of them that I clocked was money and man. It's like, oh, there's some fighting words.
Yeah, that's I don't know what the Seattle girls got going on, but hey, what can you do?
Apparently, from what I read, allegedly she did not pay for a costume.
No, I read that it was that Betty was in charge of the show. Irene had a booking fee. She could be docked like $50 or something like that, and she threw a huge money was allegedly over $50 or something.
Ooh.
And then Arietti just went in on how the girls of color say that Irene is racist and that this is all alleged, and all of these tweets have been pulled from the internet. I do not know these people, and I am not saying that this is true. For all I know, Arietti was just mad and wanted to say something on the internet. But she alleged that Irene has a penchant for men who are so young that she has to check their IDs, but she regrets using the phrase prepubescent boys in the tweet. It just got really ugly.
Girl.
Then she took them all down and apologized for her phrasing in particular, but that was her grounds for, trust me, I'm not interested in anyone you're interested in.
That's them some words. Them some words.
Yeah.
Some more. I mean, look, I think someone who's 18 can make the decision they want to make about who they want to date. But if you are worried about how old they really are, or the people around you perceive you as someone who needs to be IDing the people, it just gives sort of, I don't know, I'm trying to figure out how to say it without being inflammatory, because I want to be inflammatory, but it just feels desperate, like, or maybe not desperate, but taking advantage of the opportunity for what? Like,
it's one of those things. I don't know. It's like I love to have an opinion, but something like this, I almost don't even feel comfortable like really speaking on. It reminds me of when Plain Jane season started and everyone was going in on her for like assaulting an audience member or something. And that turned out not to be
the case.
True at all, you know? But by the time it had made it out the gate, made it into the fandom and become a conversation, it was too late. And
that's fair.
Yeah.
And that's why it's important to like be honest. You know, I think people have always created stories about other people. People have always played around with narratives to see what they can control just because they want to, or for power or whatever reason. And it just sucks that the fact that we're talking about it, or the fact that it could come up, is the point, right? Because either the person is lying about it and making it up, or they're telling the truth. Either way, the impact is people are talking about it and people are placing this person in the realm of possibility. And that's why you have to be careful about what you say. And you just do. But it's nice to see the different people like show up, if that makes sense, for the conversation. Because like it's messy. and like who did who and who's why and why. But I do think it's better than not being able to talk about it.
Fair.
You know,
Fair.
And it's a TV show that has influenced a lot of people,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's largely because there's nothing else like it, and it represents so much of what life can be that isn't sort of expressed in the mainstream.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why people like it, why people talk about it, and why people make it a part of their life, is because you don't see anything else like that, and it's more real than you see sort of on TV, generally speaking.
Yeah.
Amongst reality competition shows. That's what I like about like this idea of like the tournament of all stars and like the sort of like different brackets, because it gives you an opportunity to see a bunch of different competitors in a bunch of different ways. And I like the layout. I like this first set of queens. I think what we saw over the 3 episodes, it was heavily produced. Like it was heavily produced. And I think if they were competing on a regular season of Drag Race, I think the critiques would have been a lot harsher.
No, absolutely. Well, point, of being heavily produced, though, when everyone does okay, it's much easier to pick on the top and who you want in the bottom, even if that's you just describing everyone's doing really, really well. You don't. It's like if someone clearly bombs and someone clearly excels, and you kind of have to go with the performances. But as long as the critique amongst the judges, whoever in the top you need to get across whatever narrative or, whatever it is you need for your storylines. And if there's anything that I seem to be noticing, at least across brackets 1 and 2, from what I can tell, it's pre-existing relationships like Georges and Mistress. I know our homies. We have the Bosco Irene connection. We have Bosco and Deja. Technically they weren't close, but they're the same season, so former competitors. Mimu, our good sis, Aja, and Olivia. And then without having those pre-existing connections re-entering the competition, unfortunately Phoenix didn't really have that sort of support. And let's see who else in this next bracket. We have Nicole Page, we have Lydia and Mistress. I mean, Lydia won her challenge roasting Mistress down. Mistress and Georges have a connection. We have Tina Burner coming back this round. Carrie.
Yeah, I'm very curious about that group.
Yeah, but I it's an even odder mix.
It's a very.
Is Daya this round or is Daya next round?
Daya's with Acid. So
Daya and Acid are betting together. Okay, that's great.
And I think they're in the last one. I think they are.
Yeah. Try to think who else is wearing pink. Not Alyssa Hunter. No, she's in that sickening purple. It'll come to me.
Because the pink.
Let me just cheat and look.
Yeah. You don't gotta have it off the top of your head. Because Denali is purple, right? And Cuckoo is pink. I feel like she's pink. You think they were trying to tell Tina Burner something by not making her?
I guess I did say 6 people. I said Tina, we said Nicole, we said Carrie, we said Georges, we said Mistress, and we said Lydia. I was just making it harder on myself than it needed to be. Trying to add folks to the bracket. Ain't that something?
You think it was a low-key read that they didn't make Tina Burner orange, because her colors are yellow and red and it makes orange?
Maybe they were trying to do her a favor. Like, look, man, we saw what they said about you last time. We're not going to put you back in the McDonald's colors, baby. It's okay. It's okay.
And her promo beat, she looks real good.
The promotional images, I feel like they try and do right by the girls for sure.
They did. And honestly, like, their first episode looks, I liked them. Like, I liked their sort of like welcome back looks. I think it's said a lot about them as competitors.
Mm-hmm.
For
bracket 1, right?
Yeah.
How would it have been for bracket 2? Unless you watched the preview, which I actually didn't. I figured I would just save it for myself tomorrow.
Same.
Yeah.
I'm gonna wait. So I want to talk about which competitor surprised you the most in this first bracket, because for me, I was most surprised by how much I liked Bosco by the end. Because I'm not a huge like Deja said in the episode, we just didn't vibe, right? Like she's just not my cup of tea. But by the end, I respected sort of what she had produced over the course of it a lot more than I thought I would. She knows what she knows what she has to offer, and she offers it every time, and that's a great quality.
Delivers.
I
great looks.
Yeah,
and smart.
Yeah, she's smart. She's got great looks. I think she's a little. What's the word I want? She's a little. Safe in the sense that you will not see her do well outside of that very like burlesque, edgy couture sort of space. Very uncomfortable. And I also feel like that space is easier for her to occupy. That like Deja could never occupy that space and be accepted by the majority of people or viewed. Like, Deja had worn that sort of like triangle, huge shoulders, like tie down the middle, showing off most of her body. Even though she's much thinner now, she wouldn't have gotten the same sort of like positive association. And I'm not blaming anyone for that. That's just how like our cultural eye is trained. But I don't know. It's sort of like, again, like pretty privilege. Like, that's sort of what it is. And like as someone who feels that they have plenty of pretty privilege, I think it's just one of those things that like I sort of noticed. Like I like, for instance, even though I didn't like it, the outfit, I liked Phoenix's opening outfit because it was completely different than anything that I had seen her in, and so different from her season 3 looks. And played to this idea of you don't know what you're getting. But I like that for her. Like I like that. I liked Deja's stars and the sort of darker coloring as opposed to the pastels from before. I like that part. So overall, like I really enjoyed the bracket. Like I watched the episodes a couple of times.
Who surprised me?
Yeah, so I'd say Boston.
It's Aja comes to mind, and not because like I know that she's talented, I know that she's fantastic television. I knew I was looking forward to seeing her. I enjoyed the comfort level that she is at. There was like being a version of Aja that was like that last moment on the runway during the makeover. It was like, I love it, you love it, we love it. And it's like that level of assuredness. It was just like, you got her. And so I don't know if it was surprise. It's like you always hope and expect to see growth in the queens when they return. But I just really enjoyed watching her. I really enjoy watching her. I find her deeply entertaining. I think that she did well in all of the challenges. I think she has great range. I enjoyed her. I mean, I'd be remiss if I didn't say that Irene didn't get one of the best Ru'demption arcs in the series of the show.
Period.
In the history of the show. Period. She came through. She won every mini and every maxi challenge.
Pretty much. She just won everything.
And that I mean, I don't know. That final lip sync, I was like, I don't know. Maybe y'all just need her to win one? Is this Wrecking Ball Part 2 the room?
I was about to say, you read my mind, girl, because that's exactly what it felt like. But I'll be honest, I also don't think I wouldn't have given her all the wins. Like, I thought Deja should have won for the improv challenge. Like, I really did. Like, she just, I thought she did so well. Like,
but like you said, storyline.
But it is
having it be, you know, Irene and Aja have their moment in the workroom. Now they have to lip sync against each other. Now it's Irene and Bosco, and they're the BFFs that go all the way back to Seattle. And because Deja mopped the girls up during the improv. Why is you all over RuPaul's leg like that? Girl, sit down.
Backing that ass up.
So stupid, so brilliant.
Eyelash.
That damn cockeyed eyelash pissing me off. No, Deja did what needed to be done, but it didn't serve. And that's why I said interpersonal relationships seem to be something that they're really gonna draw on this season. And I guess it's not everyone. It's like if they have like 3 or 4 people in each bracket who are very connected, and then 2 people and then 2 or 3 people who are on the outside of that, perfect balance. Because, you know, from what we have coming up, we'll have a nice little Georges, Mistress, Lydia trifecta. You have 2 who are partners, 2 who were kind of antagonists. We haven't seen Tina in a minute. Carrie is, you know, just fluttering around being lovely. And I just did this. We just did this. Nicole. And then Nicole, who apparently went in every cast interview, the Entertainment Weekly, and everything where they all sit down, everyone's like, y'all think Mistress is shady because y'all ain't seen Nicole Page Brooks. Y'all think she's hateful because you haven't seen Nicole Page Brooks. So I'm like, oh, so we have 2 major antagonists. And Miss Tina from New York. And I think it's going to be a good time.
Well, but that's the thing is, like, Nicole is old school drag. Like, them catty bitches that will say whatever is on their mind. And they do not care, because what they have had to like deal with to get to where they are, they do not care. And they came up during a time where things were not nice, things were not pretty, things were not like mainstream. You could go to like every place on the internet and get your shoes. No, sweetheart, you had to go find your drag, and it was hard.
Make it. You spray painting shoes if you can find any that you got cliffhanger toes. And also we can't even talk about like being down south during that time. Like, come on.
Edge and drag. I mean, we talking, and it was always like
really transgressive.
Very transgressive. And the people who were in that world were the people who were carving out an existence separate from the world that was oppressing them. And you don't get to do that as like a sweet, soft soul who lives in the world of marshmallows. Like, no, it's hard. It cuts. You still love deeply. There's nothing like the love of a community built around oppression. But you are not interested in the surface feelings of other people, because most everyone's surface feelings have been obliterated, right? Mm-hmm. Like having the privilege of being sensitive to like, oh, that hurt my feelings. It's like, bro, we dying out there. Like this ain't, you know. And I think a lot of people today don't understand that like the roots of drag culture are deeply influenced by the AIDS epidemic, are deeply influenced by the sort of counterculture movement of the 60s and the 70s, and sort of everything that led up to this sort of, okay, gay people can be present in the world, and you can get married, and like you can have your children, and you have to fight for it. We're still fighting for it today, obviously.
Yeah.
But like it's a lot different. And so I think part of this sort of like, oh, you ain't seen nothing like until you've seen like a Nicole, is because modern drag is soft in many ways.
Yeah, it's like
it is. It's not. It's not
for MTV consumption, you know?
Absolutely. Well, and I think that's why so many people in the like drag world quickly differentiate drag race from drag.
For sure. And even
Exactly.
in the drag race history, you have the girls, always Naomi, the logo girl, the single digit girls.
Yes, the single digit girls and the double digit girls. The logo girls, the VH1 MTV girls. And it's just true. Them logo girls, you couldn't have said two things to and been worried about it. They just weren't. Like if they were gonna read your face for being ugly, then your face was ugly. And they didn't care whose feelings they hurt.
The heathers and the boogers was a real thing. It was a real thing. The boogers. Just all season long.
Well, but also, and like I think, the show was also showcasing itself in so many ways because like even during that, like the split was age. Like the contestants who were most hurt by it were the younger queens. And not to say that it wasn't like I got Shangela's point. Like I understood it and like I got it because it was kind of mean, but like also it was the old queens who were like, cackle, 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 because that's what queens did.
And they were also, the younger queens didn't have as much experience and their drag just wasn't as good.
No, it wasn't. It just was not as good. And nor should it have been.
Right. It's like, I mean, just a difference it's an experience gap. But, they was gonna mess with you for it.
And I think that's also very present in how All Stars is consumed. Like throughout all three of these episodes, right? Like the skills that one queen's talent versus, or one queen's challenges, like what parts of their talent one of them challenges, versus like old school drag. Those two things have started to really diverge. Because like old school drag really was like, how well can you convince me that you're a woman? Right? Like how well
female impersonation was a huge part of it. And there was like gender fuck and all sorts of, the Boy Georges, and even you could argue like the David Bowie or like Kiss sort of aesthetic, like very rock and roll, just in the middle and all over the place and nowhere at all kind of drag. But like drag was very much synonymous with female impersonation. Namely celebrity impersonation. Or at least being able to pull that skill out of your back pocket. So like, if I'm just a queen, like, yes, you might pay to see me, but you'll definitely pay to see a really good discount Janet Jackson at your local bar.
You read my brain, because that's
who can do backflips and splits and stuff.
A la Miss Coco Montrese and a variety of other legends who have donned the double J. I think this mix of queens was a really good way for the show to start the bracket process, because it was like accessible. None of them were super shady. None of them were super this. They were just a nice group of queens, all talented. This next week,
chaos. At least I hope so. I anticipate chaos. They warmed up, and now we get a little bit of rah rah rah.
I feel like I'm gonna take a drink every time Georges looks confused, because I just feel like so many things are gonna go over Georges' head, both figuratively and literally. Like, shade. Like, I feel like some of the shade, particularly if Nicole is the shady queen, I think she is. Like, her shade will be smart, and I just feel like Georges is not that Georges is dumb. It's just Georges doesn't pay attention to like the shade, and so I feel like it's just gonna go bloop, and people are gonna be like, "You didn't even catch that, did you? No, girl, you didn't. What's that mean? What's that? What she's?" And then of course, Mistress's ass is just gonna provoke and just
needle.
But no, I feel like I am worried a little bit for Miss Burner, because I just feel like part of what allowed her to do well in her season was having competitors she knew well. Like she could sort of
gave her a storyline for sure. Like,
And I just
we're gonna play up the her and Rose thing till the bitter end.
And so I'm just very curious what her storyline is going to be, because she's the one that I don't see fitting naturally amongst the other ones. Like Lydia will be fine, Mistress will be fine.
But like that's how they play up the tension. It's like the role that a Phoenix played with the first batch.
And she didn't care that was her job. Like that was the reason why like her sort of season fell flat is she didn't understand who she was being cast as. Now granted, Drag Race has changed a lot since she was on Drag Race. So like when she was on Drag Race, the girls weren't cast in a role.
Yeah,
right?
It was still a spoof of ANTM meets Project Runway.
That was it.
But campy and in drag. Like it was still, not to say, it's interesting because Drag Race is a show that started off spoofing other shows and has become a hit in its own right. And so it developing what it is as a show, there's always gonna be a layer of like unseriousness to it.
Yes.
I'm not saying that it's not serious for the competitors. I'm not saying it's not a serious prize. I'm not saying that the art form is not serious. I am saying that it started in a place that was already referential. Mm-hmm. And so now, even as a show, it leans heavily on the referential, but now it just references itself because it has such a long history. Yeah. And it's so meta in that way. I don't know any other.
You're right.
Drag Race does. Like, I'm really trying to think of other media that I watch, and it's like, you could argue that like maybe something like the Ryan Murphy universe, like the old school American Horror Story seasons, where like you would bring back a character here or there, but even that was like a new story every season. Like these, we can kind of look at the archetypes of the casting, guess who a top 4 is going to be based on how Drag Race has accustomed us to the way that they tell a story.
Yeah, absolutely. First episode, and first episode, you knew who, like, where the split was going. By the end of the first episode, you knew the split. Like, Olivia wasn't going to rise to the top, no matter how much you thought she was going to. Deja was sort of like the will she, won't she? Mm-hmm. And Phoenix was the bottom.
Phoenix was there to have a good time. Phoenix was there for the vibes. Phoenix was there for a new audience. And I kind of like that we have gotten the sort of house mother version of a drag legend, but I'm excited for Nicole to come ruffle the girls' feathers.
I don't think I've been this excited for like an old school queen in a minute, because either she's gonna get the like Irene edit where like she does really well in all of her challenges and makes it to the semifinalists, or she's not, and she's going to be shady the whole time and just fantastic television.
Fun to watch.
Like the only thing that would be sad is if she just like doesn't go anywhere. Like that will make me sad, because like I don't need her to get to the semifinals. I don't need that. I just need to know who she is now. And I think the amount of like benefit that I think that's why she's playing the way she's playing, right? I think that's why she's like doing the press the way she's doing it. Mm-hmm. She's just talking because I think she knows that that's how she's going to make the most from it, because I don't think she's going to win the $200,000. Like I don't. Mm-hmm. Like I think it's pretty much going to be Ginger, Georges.
Yeah, who else does Rue really love? Because that's what it comes down to. Also,
probably one of them too. Probably gonna be one of them too.
Because I don't
see it being anybody else. I mean, again, you could have Irene coming from like a sort of like a dark horse, like from the lowest to the Hall of Fame sort of thing. I could see that playing out as a storyline.
I think it would be more likely to be Bosco, because like we talked about how this is always, I always forget, Drag Race is now an extended promo for the Vegas show.
Yep.
Deja has already held it down in the Vegas show for a good amount of time, from what I understand, and did great and was really well received. She's just such a gifted all-around queen. I really do like Deja. But
I think they're looking for a wild card spot.
Yeah.
I do. I think she'll be one of the judges' picks.
I can see that for sure. I can see that. If I had to just go blindly each bracket, I could see Bosco being the one that they send all the way through, because Rue just really loves her. This round, like you said, Georges. Georges is funny. Georges can wear a cute little outfit. Georges makes Rue laugh just by existing. I don't think they would give it to Mistress. Might make it to the next round, because that's another reason why I feel like they kind of kept, you're either promoting the Vegas show or you are producing conflict and being good television. So as long as Aja and Irene will engage in the banter, they will keep them around, but they might not let them win. As long as a Mistress or a Nicole or even a Lydia to an extent will engage in the banter, they might keep you around, but I don't know. I don't know. And then yeah, our purple girls. That's what. Alyssa, Cuckoo, Ginger. Ginger is definitely.
I could see, so for the next bracket, the three I think that will likely go through will be Mistress, Georges, and it's either Lydia or Nicole. I don't think Lydia will make it past the semifinals, but I think Rue wants to like sort of showcase that side. And then I think in the next one, it'll be Ginger.
We have the Bettys, Diet Acid. We have Ginger, Cuckoo, Alyssa, and Denali.
I think it'll be Ginger, Denali, and Acid. Because I think if the pattern holds out, there will be a favor towards like the season 12, 13 queens are going to have the hardest. They're either going to be at the top, like Bosco, or at the very bottom, like Deja and Olivia will be. Because I think there's sort of the semifinals will do best with a spread of queens. And right now, the spread favors the more recent season. So I think various competitors will have a slight edge, like Acid over Daya. Daya was a finalist. She was season 12, top 5. That's less compelling to me than Acid Betty, who went out like 5th.
Yeah.
But she really shouldn't have, right? Like, yes, Naomi won that lip, so it was Naomi, right? Like, Naomi won that lip sync. I'm not arguing with that result. But like,
it felt like she was leaving too soon nonetheless.
Early for like all of the talent that Acid Betty has. And as excited as Bob is for Acid to return.
And Naomi.
Like everyone's excited.
All they'll talk about. They was in bracket 1. All they wanted to talk about was Acid Betty.
Yeah.
And I was like,
I think she'll make it to the semifinals. I don't think that Rue wants her to be in the Hall of Fame though.
But we always talk about these archetypes in the finals too. You usually get someone who's a well-rounded, palatable queen, someone who is alternative, and someone who is comedy. And if it's 4, then like someone who's like the couture sort of fashiony one. And we have seen that top 3, top 4 kind of combination almost go back to like season. You could argue season 4, glamour and alternative and an all-around pageanty, like, but definitely by like I guess you could kind of see it in season 8 too.
Oh yeah, season 7, season 6. I mean,
so with that being said, we kind of have that already shaping up. We have our alt Irene, we have our glamoury Bosco, and we have our all-around ballroom. I can dance, I'm funny, I have interesting, very distinctive looks, like an Aja, who is just like has drag and performance in her freaking blood. But because she also will, Brooklyn you.
Yes.
They would from a production standpoint, she is more interesting television than a Deja Sky, even though Deja is arguably just as well-rounded.
Well, Olivia too. They're all competing for the same spot, and they didn't realize it.
Yeah.
Like they all have great looks. They're all able to move. They all have
they can all
they're all stars. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but they don't have like none of them are super edgy in their looks, and that's what Bosco had.
Yeah.
Right? She just, like you got to give it to Bosco. Her looks are just couture. They're not Raja like Gemini level. They're not Violet Chachki, but they're in their own lane.
It's distinctive. It's hers.
In her own lane, right? And but they're that like that quality of like I'm looking forward to seeing what the bitch is gonna wear. Like,
who was I listening to? Oh my gosh, was it Raja maybe on Monet Talks? Somebody was asked, I want to say it was Raja, and she was like, because like you don't think of the Seattle girls being the fashion girls, but wait a minute, now I'm thinking about Bosco, I'm thinking about Irene, I'm thinking about that bug outfit that Dayla wore. Hold on.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Let's find out. I'm the Ariel.
Really just Jinx. It's really just Jinx, ain't the fashion queen. She's so bad that she's made Seattle seem bad.
I mean, but she's got her. I think she looked good during All Stars.
She paid somebody for all that stuff. Like, I promise you, the Jinx season 5 who made her package, Jinx All Stars still has that same taste, but a lot more money and a lot more people support her, so she don't make them bad choices.
I see what you, but I feel like it is hard to compare Drag Race season 5 looks to contemporary Drag Race looks. But then again, you could also, it's like you could say that, but on the other hand, it's like, tell that to Rasha.
Or Detox.
Because
them girls.
Or Roxy. Or Roxy.
Like, you can
walk some of them packages down the runway. To this day.
To this day. So no, I didn't disagree with the final sort of understanding of who's moving to the semifinals. I love Deja's sort of like attitude this whole time because I really think she's like, I'm playing for the wild card. I'm gonna be the positive person, and one of them judges is gonna pick me, and I'm gonna be a finalist, or a finalist, and I'm gonna. So I think she'd be a great wild card lip syncer. Like I think if it ends up being Ginger, Georges, let's say Irene, for shits and giggles, a Deja is your 4th lip syncer. Like that would be a really good lip sync for your life.
Because much like a Jinx, Irene being sickening in these challenges, it's hard when you're a girl who is great at the challenges, but is gonna get whooped against the wrong queen with the wrong song in a lip sync. Like the best they could do All Stars 3 was give Wrecking Ball, because there was they're like, we have to do all we can to slow the legendary Kennedy down. Like there's just, if we give her anything with a 5, 6, 7, 8, it's a wrap. No, don't demonetize us like we're monetized. No one cares about my 0.2 seconds of Mariah Carey. Oh, it's so funny. Oh man. Yeah, what was I saying? Oh yeah, the girls who can perform or who do great in the challenges, but the lip syncs be whooping their ass. It's a shame. You hate to see it.
Yeah, like Plastique. Oh, she could have won that season. She could have won that season.
But also like the girls don't really put the same effort into this difference between Drag Race and drag. We don't need, everyone is giving Kenya Michaels during Natural Woman.
I hate it.
It's like
I don't need no split.
RuPaul will freak out and I will win the lip sync. And it's like, you gotta listen to the song. If you know Roxy Andrews filing your nails during Diana Ross telling me to back off with your shoulders, I don't want it. Read the room. Read the
Because that
listen to the
just
song.
perfect.
The subtlety, like get into the energy of the song, listen to the song, listen to the lyrics, and perform it with the intention of like the girls don't know how to emote. Oh my gosh, there's
this is spectacle for them. They don't understand well, again, it's the drag race versus drag, right? Like when you are in a club that isn't like huge with massive, like I don't know, you think to the kinds of spaces that drag queens used to inhabit.
Yeah.
There wasn't production value like there is today.
Yeah.
So you had to grab hold of the audience with nothing.
Yeah.
Maybe a spotlight, maybe a track that you could like add to, but it's probably just the instrumental of the track that everybody knew, and you were lip syncing on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and you had to hold the audience because there were 10 other queens
in the back.
Right. Nowadays they have video, lights, and smoke and just all the normal club stuff. But even then, if you just doing a bunch of splits, I've seen the splits, baby. I've seen the on the beat. I've seen it. It ain't special. Everybody, nah, girl. I want you to convince me you really singing that song. I want you to make me believe that I am having the actual experience as if you were the artist.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I want. That's what I want to experience. I want to be taken from the sensory experience my body is feeling and going to some place that my mind has created because you have taken me there.
Mm-hmm.
Too many lip syncs are now about how well can you dance acrobatically. And don't get me wrong, sometimes that's
the vibe. Sometimes that's what we need. You know who does it well? Put your lighters up, mama.
The Brooklyn Heights, Evie Oddly lip sync where they both got saved. So was it Sorry?
Yeah.
That, yes, all the dips and turns and tricks and splits, that's appropriate.
Justified. It felt like a battle too, but also I think that we were still, at this point, that's the better part of 10 seasons ago.
Yeah, oh gosh.
Well, 6 seasons. That would be a heavy roundup, but six regular seasons and what?
4 All-Stars, 5 All-Stars.
4 or 5 All-Star seasons.
That's a lot of seasons.
In my brain, 10 seasons ago. And it had a different level of impact then.
Mm-hmm.
And also Evie and Brooklyn were giving us tricks that we had not seen. And I don't know if we've seen since.
No, not at that level of synchronization or, I mean, I guess you can say like
a fight. It almost felt like, and I know the Dragon Ballroom are not always synonymous. They can overlap. I'm not saying they the same, but I am saying that, when the calls are going and the girls are fighting trick to trick, back to back, dip for dip, point for point, like throwing capes over each other and shit. Like it had the energy of a battle.
It did. No, I agree. And, the other one that sort of comes to mind on that sort of energy, it was different. That sort of like, we're in a battle. This is a real thing, is the Anitra, Marsha lip sync. That, again, it's different, but that same sort of like
energetically related.
Appropriate use of stunts and splits and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But I think so many lip syncs can be done without that and are funnier and are better without those extra, like, how many splits can I do? I think of that Mayhem Ginger to
you took it out of my mouth. Where the hell my phone?
Where the hell my phone?
That one was literally the one I was gonna say, but I was like, why can't I remember who she was lip syncing against? And it's like, bitch, Mayhem literally took off her shoe. Like, you remember. But yes, that was, you took it.
It's such a great lip sync, and I think that's a better lip sync than a bunch of splits, dips, and
Because
turns.
it's an actual lip sync.
Right.
Half the time you slamming your pussy into the main stage, I don't even know what your mouth is doing.
No. And that's the other part, is that like if you lose the lip sync,
Then
what's the point? I'm just watching you dance acrobatically. Which again, I'm not knocking, but if this is a lip sync for your life, or this is like a lip sync for the win, or whatever it is, I want a lip sync now.
we're two of hearts generation.
Morgan McMichaels.
She
Just that.
I'll never forget it. With just a little bit of arm swirl. Yes. And she looked real good in that gold lame with the top. That blonde
top hat. That top hat.
You better do it, Morgan. You better do it.
And I do miss that quality to Drag Race, you know, and like thinking about the end of this bracket, sort of thinking about how produced it is, thinking about how much they've sort of moved, and like you can sort of like plan out, okay, this is why this is happening. This is what, okay, I see this. You know, you think about how unexpected that lip sync was. You think about how much, what's her name?
Kylie?
It's Monique. It's not Monique.
Kylie Stonique Love?
No, it's maybe it is Monique. What's the Madison?
Mystique Summers Madison.
Mystique. Yeah. With her split on the runway.
Mm-hmm.
And how like just the sort of, you saw the show begin to develop these sort of things because like Rue's reaction to it. And so then the show went from being this like competition to like, how can we get Rue to react? Right. And Rue most of the time rewards you for it, but not all the time.
Yeah.
Right?
But sometimes he's real deadpan for a split, like girl.
He sort of picks and chooses when he wants to reward you for like tickling his feather.
But also the attention span of the audience, I think, has shifted. Like these kids, if you are not slamming your pussy into the stage, baby, they're getting up, they're going to get a snack from the refrigerator. Like, what do you mean you just a park and bark? In this generation, the girls would knock their flat screens off the wall.
But a park and bark, a good park and bark, baby, like that's just, if you could sit there and grab me, that's so much more powerful than like, look at me, look at me, look at me.
Or at least a different kind of power. I think it has a different kind of confidence, but I also, I have to recognize the audience, and this is a high octane. Like these young people need, if you are not blaring the alarm in their faces, then it's not catching their attention, and it's certainly not holding it. Like,
no, that's a fair point.
They got 7 to 12 seconds max of focus, and if you're not literally screaming their face, then scroll.
Moved on. Done.
Damn shame.
But no, I'm looking forward to this next bracket. See how things play out. So with that in mind, you know, one of the things that we like to do here is talk about how contestants play out in comparison to other contestants are on sort of like Drag Race tournament, if you will, our Rushmore, our different ways of looking at some of the best competitors. And so I want to talk just a little bit as we, you know, wrap up our conversation, thinking about queens who've returned. Which ones do you feel have had the best sort of returns? Which ones would you put on the Rushmore of Ru'demption? I definitely, you know, after this season, I have to put Irene there. Like, I don't think I would have ever have thought about that before. So
my service is being really helpful, and you froze, but I think you're saying who had the best, like, Ru'demption on All Stars.
Yes, that's what I was sort of getting at. Like, which contestants who come back would you put on the Rushmore of Ru'demption? And I was saying, you know, prior to today's sort of conversation in the finish of the first bracket, I would have never thought Irene, you know, but you can't not put her there, in my opinion,
You
right?
can't.
Like production or not.
What tickled me is when she said that she's the lowest ranked queen because she was the first out in the biggest cast. Like no one has you can't rank lower than 16th place. And she's like, except now this is the biggest All-Stars cast. So I had the chance to do something really funny. Like, damn. Not the first out of 18. No, baby. Okay, but to answer your question, I feel like it has to be her. Now, okay, now does this have to be formal contestants or can this just be like moments?
I think it has to be
Formal
people who have appeared on an All-Stars of some kind. So they have had at least 2 seasons, and there was a difference in their second season like presentation so far. Like even if Irene doesn't win, right? Like even if she like doesn't do a single win in the semifinals, coming back and nailing 3 challenges in a row, that's never been done before.
That's
right?
wild.
Never been done.
I asked that specific question because while she hasn't competed in an All-Stars, as soon as Laganja fell out the sky and she's been on tour ever since.
Yeah, that's a good
I'll say honorable mention because that doesn't address the question that you're asking me.
I will say that, you know, an appearance as a lip sync assassin counts as an All-Stars appearance. And that's sufficient enough because a lot of the lip sync assassins have gone on to be on All-Stars anyways. So, I mean, for the purposes of Ru'demption, I think you can make the argument about something like that as opposed to just like they showed up for an episode. It's like, no, she was a lip sync assassin and she did this thing that like we're still talking about seasons later. So yeah, no, I will not object to that statement.
But like,
not object. No.
I'm gonna keep thinking because theoretically I want my answers to come from people who were like actually, well, I mean that does qualify as being cast in a season though, but you know what I mean. There's a distinction. No, right now Irene. I mean, you could, Kylie. Yeah,
Kylie. She went from a nobody placement, like bottom 3, bottom 2, whatever the lowest sort of thing, and then winning her All-Stars as a full woman, you know, fully in her reality.
Yeah.
That, I mean, just the sheer shift is very high.
She fell on her ass and still won. God bless her. She hit that little forward roll in that gown and was like, you know what, baby, here are your things. What about Roxy? I would say between All-Star, I feel like she had quite a journey from 5 to All-Stars 2 to All-Stars 9. From villain friend to like by All-Stars 9, I was with Detox. We just knew Roxy was taking it.
She's gonna win.
I feel like she's had quite a journey. I think what's interesting, this doesn't answer the question at all, but someone like Ginger, it feels like Ginger doesn't need kind of like a Jujubee. They were never bad. Yes. They were always excellent. Just
yes.
And it's just like,
yep, you're right. No, you're right. Ginger doesn't need a redemption. She just needs to win. Give her like an honorary crown.
And child, you would think I was still out here smoking weed the way that my memory is, you know. And Kylie.
You're not right. You know you're not right. Who would be a fourth?
Well, let's see. Let's go through.
I
I
think a
mean,
contender could be Blair. Blair St. Clair from her original season to her All Stars was a pretty big shift in her
yeah,
ability.
that was a
Uh,
great shift in her ability for sure. This might be a
uh,
hot take because people are like, oh, shut up about her already. Trixie.
you know how I feel about Trixie, but actually
That's
you're right. Like,
but it's
but
like,
like no, like Trixie from season 7 to Trixie All Stars, like I think a lot of how I feel about Trixie has nothing to do with Trixie. Like Trixie as a person, I think is a fantastic and funny and all of those things. I think my issue has always been like the way that Trixie won, which then opened the doors for Trixie to do certain things, felt unfair,
felt produced.
produced, right?
Very
And
peculiar for
like,
World of Wonder.
yeah, which again, like I'm not knocking Trixie for, because like if I were in Trixie's shoes, I would do the exact same thing, jump in and be like, no, I don't care, I'm gonna do all the things I want to do. Like I'm very clear, like I'm not knocking her at all, and she deserves her platform. She's like, you know, again, I don't know this person like personally, but it's more just sort of like how the way production crafted an ending after Ben self-eliminated,
Mm-hmm.
felt like it just robbed it from Shangela, which
Mm-hmm.
always felt wrong to me, right? And then on top of that, that it didn't go to Kennedy when it really should have gone to Kennedy. And so it's just, like it's that sort of like Trixie's win was tainted to me, even though her glow up from season 7 to winning, her makeup was like so much like better without changing, and her outfits were like so much sharper. Like her teacher look with the hat and I still think about that cat suit. Like it was so fashionable, and I was just not expecting it from Trixie at all. So like there's sort of conflicted in that, but purely like glow up and sort of Ru'demption, going from sort of like this character in season 7 that was boxed in by their own sort of Barbie doll-esque lens to the winner of All Stars. Like you're right. Like I have to give it to her for that. It is a little bit of a hot take. You're right, but it really was a big shift, and she walked away with the title and has done incredible things for herself and for sort of like the queer community as a whole afterwards. As opposed to like a Katya who, like, we love Katya, and Katya just delivered Katya like her season and All Stars, right? Like I forget all the time she was a finalist in All Stars too. Like I forget she's a finalist.
Yeah.
And like
top 5 her season, I think.
Yeah, she's a fantastic competitor. But like I don't view her in that lens of like she improved.
Same. And arguably I would say that's kind of what I was on with like Ginger and Jujubee. It's like, no, you're just consistently excellent every time we see you, but somehow you get bested.
Yes. Because like she was, and I honestly, to that idea of like Ru'demption, and part of me wants to like put Katya there as like an honorable mention, but just in reference to how well Plain Jane has been received, when all Plain Jane is doing is like a version of Katya that like isn't as interesting.
See, I feel like they're distinctive. Ooh, this is an arguably problematic take, but if you took away Katya's playfulness and gave her mistress's darkness and vitriol, then you would get a Plain Jane.
You're actually really
great. Plus Katya equals Plain Jane.
Yeah. You're right. You're right. Well, and I don't want to sound.
I'm not saying Plain Jane's not playful. I know that she's joking with the people, but
and I'm not trying to take away from Plain Jane, because now that I think back on what I said, like I'm not trying to diminish Plain Jane, because she played Drag Race really well. Like,
she knew exactly who she needed to be to get to the final. Period.
And like I don't want to take an ounce or a drop from her, and she has done a great job in her post Drag Race career.
And relevant, endlessly quotable, that one.
Yes. Like, no, I realized that my commentary probably sounded more like I was coming from
Sister pejorative is just so funny to me. It's like this. Sister is only an insult when playing James.
Right. and but it's hysterical. Like, it's hysterical. Unlike like a Fifi, right? And like that's the difference between a plain Jane and a Fifi. Is like plain was downright just mean, but like and had just enough of a wink and a nudge that it's like, yeah, you got your feelings hurt, but you can't really be mad because like
she takes as well as she can dish.
Yes, and I think that was
usually funny.
Yes, and
she takes as well. And I think that that's why we enjoy a Mistress as well, or an Aja, or an Irene. It's like they gonna say whatever they gonna say, but if you say something back, odds are they're gonna laugh. Or just like take it on the chin, you know. It's not gonna, like, poor Olivia. Oh, bless her heart. And Bosco called it. She called it. She was like, you know, drag queens, you never know, like, you never know when it's gonna go too far, but by the time it is too far, it's too late. And yeah. Okay, wait.
Crying so hard. That just felt bad for her.
Who else had a great Ru'demption? We got 4 spots in the Rushmore. Kylie definitely, Roxy definitely, Irene definitely, Trixie arguably, but I don't want to feel like I'm missing anyone or anything. Right? Oh my gosh, is that Rustin? Hi, baby.
Guy that I've been not paying him attention for too long. He's like it's dinner time, and you have not fed me yet. And
what's that about? What's that about? He's like, but Dad, I'm starving.
Yes, he's going to waste away.
He's so cute. I mean, oh my gosh, now I'm just distracted. This is premium content, baby. Puppy face. Is that, maybe that's...
I think that might be, because I'm trying to think who else would really fall into that. Because there were definitely some contestants who like came back with better looks, and contestants who came back with like filler and all the other things, but like,
yeah, like who like really stormed through with something to prove and proved it.
That's the thing. I mean, honestly, like, before her self-elimination, you could have given it to Ben.
You could have, but she also did so well on her season.
She did, but she didn't win anywhere near as many challenges. Like, Ben won every challenge just about up until her self-elimination, right? Like, she did fine on season 6. She did fine, but she, what was it, top 6?
What about a Monet?
You know, Monet is definitely one that I think you could put in the Ru'demption boat. I don't know. Like, because I feel like what Monet delivered in her original season was still really good.
Very true, very memorable.
You know, like she had a really good season, and sure, there were some things that like, you know, she could have improved, and she improved them for her All-Stars.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if I would have said it was like a massive gap. She just needed money.
Yeah. And I guess same with Tatiana. We just hadn't seen her in a while.
Right? Like, because she did well on her season, and people hated her on her season because she was like, "How is this young girl doing so well? She's not like
that Britney Spears, the very first Snatch Game. She's so stupid. So stupid. It was brilliant. It's the stupidest thing I've ever seen.
But it's still
great.
Like
it's
top
still up there.
Performances. I mean, you know, you could give it to Trinity. Because yes, she was a good competitor, but well, no, because she knew what she was doing. She knew what she was
like
doing.
a literal finalist.
Yeah, so maybe
The
not.
game from jump. But what about other Trinity?
Oh, Miss K Bonet.
Miss K Bonet.
Yeah, her All Stars one did do a lot better. You know, think about that.
I've just put. We're so stupid. We're so stupid. How did neither one of us say Silky Nutmeg Ganache?
Oh my God! You clearly.
We're so stupid.
We're so stupid. So stupid. That shift from her season to her All Stars, and then the whole yeah.
Okay, so when we were first conceiving of this idea of Drag Rushmore, originally the rule was that the season had to be completed before we were able to say what the girlies did. I guess we can say that the bracket has been completed, but for all we know, I don't know what Nicole finna do. I don't know what Betty's finna do. I don't.
That's a good point. So maybe we can't include Irene yet because one of them bitches could have a real good run. Probably not.
But because like, come on, like,
right? But we don't know. I mean,
but yeah, I pulled up a list.
Come in there and knock them queens out.
Mm-hmm.
Good. So, now, okay. So we'll put an asterisk.
We'll put an asterisk. Yeah, we'll put an asterisk. But even if that leaves us with Kylie or Silky, I would put in first place.
Yep. That
Kylie.
Huge redemption.
I would do second. Roxy, it was more of a public image redemption because her drag, well, let's be clear, her drag was not, her drag never, there was never a problem with her drag. And fourth, I would say Trixie, to come from being like the quote unquote weirdo to the winner, I think is a compelling turnaround for her. And if I had to do honorable mention, even though she didn't formally compete, our reintroduction to Laganja was an impressive reintroduction.
Yeah, I think I do not disagree. I think that is a fair assessment, and I don't think it leaves anyone out that should be honored for their redemption. And again, there have been lots of contestants who've done well post their season. We're not knocking that, but I think as far as like show-based redemptions,
yeah,
that were arced.
And you mentioned this, I feel like there's so many ways it can go for season 3 though, because Kennedy leaving with, you know, the racism in the fandom and just like not being as popular with the kids as a Violet or a Pearl, you could almost put Shangela or Kennedy in Trixie's spot in terms of like, but I guess Kennedy was nearly a finalist. She was top 4, so it's not like she did poorly in her season. But neither did Roxy though. It was just Roxy made finals all 3 times.
Now you could make the argument about Shangela that she went from, was it first out to top 5 to then finalist, who arguably had the best track record of the finalists.
Is that like fair? I
don't know. I'm saying I think that's something to consider because she got knocked out, came back the next season, pissed them girls off because she made it all the way to top 5, and then came back for All Stars and dominated All Stars.
Yeah, very
sort
much.
Of Ben, right? Like Ben won all the challenges, and then it was Shangela and then Trixie. And Kennedy were all like kind of, I think Shangela had one more win than Kennedy and Trixie. I think they were at 2 and she was at 3. And they only lost because of a fan vote that they weren't prepared for. Like, had they known the tea that the queens at the end were going to pick the winner as opposed to Rue, would they have done what they did? I don't know, right? Like, versus the competition later on when they knew they would be voting each other out.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think Shangela would have sent home the same contestants that she sent home if she knew that all the girls are going to be voting?
Well, it still would have had to be somebody that she pissed off.
Oh, for sure. But she might have made different choices. I don't know. I don't. Again,
like people who would hold it, people who wouldn't.
Hold the grudge.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, with that first All-Stars run, dang, All-Stars 3 really had it together. Aja had Kennedy and Chi-Chi biting their nails, episode 1. And I thought Aja's match game was so good.
It was. No, you're right.
I can't even remember her elimination. I just feel like it probably unfair.
Yeah, the only thing that I will say that makes me not put Aja there is just because she's competing now and she's such a different character now competing.
Fair. Yeah.
I feel like her redemption wasn't a redemption there. She was just sort of on her path, and she's one of those drag race girls that part of her role is like we're watching her grow into herself over the course of the sort of series.
That's beautiful.
But yeah, I can't. I mean, again, there are lots of people who like have improved, who've had glow ups, but I think as far as
the intensity of
peak redemption, like Irene definitely again,
Irene.
if she doesn't win anything else, like coming out winning 3 challenges in a row against a pretty competitive bracket. These are not filler queens. These are all very good queens except for Phoenix, right? But again, that's such a different drag race, doesn't even count. But like Olivia was in top 5, Deja was in top 7,
Bosco was in the final.
So yeah, they're like not 8th place queens.
Yeah. All right. So that makes our Rushmore: Irene, Kylie, Silky, and Trixie Mattel.
I like that. I think it really represents some of the competitors who've really come back their second time and really made a mark. And I think with Silky, it's sort of like a double redemption, because when she came back, she was trying to be someone she wasn't, got kicked out, and then was like, well, screw this. I'm showing you who I really am. So she had like a double redemption. And
that lip sync episode. Why are we even still doing Lollapaloozas? We're never going to get that episode again.
Just let Silky lip sync.
Barbie Girl
was great. Still
goes down. It I feel like we don't talk about that one enough when we talk about the greatest lip syncs. Like, yes, this will be sorry, not sorry. Yes, shut up and dry. I'm sorry. Silky Nutmeg Ganache versus Silky Nutmeg Ganache is going to do it for me every time.
And the whole when she turns and reveals the other side, it was
and it's not just because it's funny and camp, which it was, but also, baby, she's going to give you a show.
No, she's going to give a show.
The Reverend Doctor is going to give you a show, and I live for it. I live for it. Big Silk, baby, with the good milk. Love her down.
Well, this has been a good conversation as always. I know that we have a whole new set of queens making their return over the next 3 episodes. We will have lots of conversation about how all this plays out. Now, knowing what you know now, what do you think the biggest twist might be in regards to how the most valuable queen points are going to go? Do you think, because this bracket, I wasn't surprised how it played out, right? Because it resulted in the votes going to the third competitor that I thought should be a semifinalist. Do you think that's going to play out the same with this group, or do you think they're going to be shady boots?
I think they're going to be shady boots. I think there are queens who come to play the game. There are queens who come to make television, and there are queens who come to make television because they know that that keeps them in the game. And I feel like we have some make television to stay in the game girls here. I think we might see some doubling up and tripling up of giving people, like I gave her my point just to not give it to her.
Yep. I think
and if that means that now she got a point from me and you didn't.
I'm giving her the point just so you not a
semifinalist. Right. And so I feel like it'll be less about helping who you want to help and more about putting who you don't want to help at a deficit.
Okay. Well, we'll see if that tea ends up being the truth. I don't disagree. I think that's exactly how it's going to play out. And I think at the center of it is going to be Mistress and Nicole. I think them is going to be the center of all the drama. That's just what I think. It's just what I think. So, yeah. All right. Stop. I can figure out how to do that.
Wait, should we introduce ourselves at any point?
Well, no, we'll do that in a second. Here, let me.
Yeah.
Because what we can do is. So here's what I was thinking.